British Vogue's September 2019 cover, Forces for Change, guest edited by Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, was historic, to say the least. Pairing Vogue's massive following, societal changemakers, and the skill, editing prowess, and global appeal of Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, was a surefire recipe for instant success. And it was. Not only was the edition one of the most popular and coveted Vogue covers ever, but its impact has been felt since the day it was released, serving as inspiration for countless other covers, creative projects, and advocacy initiatives. So to celebrate the anniversary of the groundbreaking moment Meghan left her stamp on Vogue, they've invited the original 2019 cover stars to nominate their champions for 2024 and beyond. Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, is a force. She's a force to be reckoned with, a force to be inspired by, and a force for change. From her philanthropic works to her outstanding career to being a wife, a mother, her advocacy, the list goes on and on and on. And atop that list stands a woman who surpassed all odds, withstood the storm, and has come out on the other side. The world observed Meghan maintaining her grace under fire, and years ago when it was announced that she would be guest editing the September Vogue cover, when she was in the eye of the storm, we knew she had something real to say.
She's not on the cover, but no question, this is Meghan's Vogue, guest edited by the Duchess of Sussex.
As soon as they announced it, I was very excited. I was like, it's coming out Friday, I'm going to pick it up.
September is British Vogue's biggest, most read, most influential issue. Like everything Meghan Markle these days, it's getting both praise and criticism. Other royals, the Duchess of Cambridge and Princess Diana, have appeared on the cover of Vogue. Prince Harry and Prince Charles, meanwhile, have guest edited other UK media. None got the same flack as Meghan. Race could be a factor.
With Meghan, we have seen a level of racism in the coverage about climate.
Meghan opted to feature activists, models, actresses, and one politician, mostly left-leaning, mostly women of color. Meghan's influence is definitely in Vogue.
In January, I got this text on my phone.
I wanted to see if you would help me with SmartWorks.
I remember walking into Kensington Palace and I was so excited. You're like, call me Meghan.
Yeah. And for me to just say, yes, you would help me on SmartWorks, amazing. If you'd be willing to let me guest edit.
Yes, please. The history of Vogue, you're the first. You have an editor's eye. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. You were so thorough from beginning to end.
Can you do Commonwealth fashion? Can you do sustainability? Can we make sure the point of view is really in the right ethos?
You wanted to focus on women who are changing the world, women who are doing incredible things.
Yeah.
Which really is in line with what we do with British Vogue.
Yes, and then having the mirror. Anyone, no matter who they are, picking up this issue should be able to see themselves in it.
From every touch point, I was excluded. British Vogue is challenging that. It's saying that clothes are something that we all wear, and because of that, we all deserve, and it's valid that we have a voice in this conversation. But here I am, a little person, on the cover of the September issue of British Vogue.
How we're going to treat women, how we're going to treat immigrants, how we're going to treat trans people and people of color, how we treat our planet. We have to make a change right now.
I'm here to change the way we look at the climate and ecological crisis.
I don't know what my life would be like or if I would be here today if my family hadn't moved from South Sudan to the camp.
Restructure our educational system. The way that we learn to engage with one another in school has everything to do with who we choose to relate to and who we care about, which has real consequences in the political world.
I think one change that's important for anybody to make is to vote.
The rolling back of reproductive rights in my country, but also in a number of other countries around the world. It's dangerous to become a mom. It's dangerous to be a woman.
How entrenched people are becoming in their opinions and their view of the world. I do think there's a solution to that, though, and that's ultimately us coming back to the humanity that we all share.
I feel extremely privileged to work with Edward and the Duchess of Sussex. Such an example of collaboration together and inclusiveness.
We just celebrate that we have made this happen.
Now let's call some people.
Hello, darling.
She selected you for this cover.
Hi, Laverne.
Oh my God.
Hi, Sinead.
Hello, Duchess. How are you?
Francesca Hayward.
Hi.
Hi, Archewell.
We are so proud that you're on the cover with everything you represent, and No, you're a true force for change. I kid you not, the very first name that I said I wanted on the cover was you.
Meghan, I'm so proud of you for using your amazing platform and your strong voice, and I'm so honored to be part of it with those other amazing women. Thank you so much for...
I mean, if that doesn't say change, I don't know what does.
Speaking of royals in Vogue, I actually have this edition of The Crown in Vogue. It's on Amazon right now if you want to buy it, but it is leather bound and it's got Princess Diana on the covers. Now that we've had a quick recap of the original Forces for Change cover, guest edited by Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, I wanted to talk about how Vogue is celebrating the anniversary. When, in 2019, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, joined British Vogue's editor-in-chief Edward Enninful to create a historic September issue, the pair had a clear agenda to feature women who were shifting the dial, who were having a positive impact on the world. The result? A record-breaking issue entitled Forces for Change, which saw 15 stars from Jane Fonda and Selma Hayek-Pinault to Greta Thunberg and Laverne Cox grace the cover. Side note before we continue, Jane Fonda has a very special place in my heart. I love her. She has an iconic career. She has so many amazing movies and projects. Also, she's the exercise queen. She also has Grace and Frankie on Netflix right now. That is such a good show. It's one of my favorites. But I love her so much, especially in Monster-in-Law, that I named my old car after her. I give my cars a name just so I can always refer to them in such a warm way. But I take really good care of my cars. And the car I had before, the one I have now, I loved it so much. And I couldn't think of a good name. And I said, well, who's somebody that I love that will never let me down? Jane Fonda. And so my car is named Jane Fonda. Let's continue. This, though, proved to be merely the beginning of an initiative that has now spanned 5 years and seen British Vogue partner with the likes of BMW. That's so funny. My car, Jane Fonda, was a BMW X3. See, look at me, your girl be knowing. Nike, YouTube, and eBay to shine a light on people who are changing the world and who devote their lives to others, as Enninful puts it. Quote, it was about creating a movement, not simply a moment, says Enninful, now editorial advisor for British Vogue and the magazine's global creative and cultural advisor. Quote, we have profiled countless activists, pioneers, and changemakers, and it is crucial that we keep this going, that we keep the spotlight firmly on those challenging the status quo and use their voices to help shape the conversations around the most urgent issues of our time. So to mark this anniversary, we have invited September 2019's cover stars, our original Forces for Change, to nominate their champions for 2024 and beyond. Who is that person for Enninful? Yasmin Finney, he says, a remarkable woman who is fearless and boundary-breaking in her mission for the acceptance of a new generation of young Black trans people. Ilwad Elman, social activist, nominated by Ramla Ali. At Elman Peace, the organization established in honor of her father, a prominent activist who was assassinated in 1996, 34-year-old Ilwad Elman has been at the forefront of the Somali peace process for almost 15 years. Quote, Ilwad comes from a long line of activists within her family that have paid the biggest price for their work in Africa, says boxer Ramla Ali. At just 20, she opened Somalia's first rape crisis center, and with the Elman Peace and Human Rights Center in Mogadishu, Ilwad has provided somewhere that offers rehabilitation to child soldiers as well as access to sport, education, and job creation. In 2019, she was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. She is a true example, says Ali, of the type of individuals that inspire me and who I see as making a genuine difference on a daily basis. Angelina Jolie, actor, you didn't need to tell us that. Hey Angie, nominated by Selma Hayek-Pinault. Quote, nothing evokes change more than that rare, out-of-the-box thinker who dares to courageously take action and push the needle in a new direction, says actor, director, and producer Selma Hayek-Pinault of Angelina Jolie, who has become as well known for her humanitarian efforts and campaigning as her glittering Hollywood career. In her former role as a UN Refugee Agency Goodwill Ambassador and Special Envoy, which she held for over 20 years, Jolie has, says Hayek-Pinault, sought justice and dignifying conditions for the lives of people around the world. On a personal level, Hayek-Pinault can further testify that Jolie is a force for change since being directed by her for the upcoming film Without Blood was a beautiful and positive life-changing experience. I completely agree with this pick. Absolutely. I feel like we could say this every time we do this. She should always be nominated. Angelina Jolie is the example of a force for change. She's iconic for so many things, but her heart has always been in the right place. Little known fact about it, well, it's probably not little known, but if you just not tapped in, then you wouldn't know. But Angelina Jolie also has a trashy parent. Jon Voight is her dad, and he has, in a lot of ways, made it his mission to try and sully her name in the public, because she has been very open to not having him around her anymore because he was toxic. And the reason I'm bringing that up, not to bring up something negative, but we talk a lot about the impact of having toxic parents, particularly those who can't see past their own toxicity in order to step up as a parent. There is no perfect parent, but there are people who try. When I talk about a toxic parent, I'm talking about those who don't try, those who feel like it's the child's job to help them overcome or to ignore the abuse they've experienced. And Angelina Jolie is one of those people who have had a very toxic parent and have made the very difficult and very unfair choice for them. No child should have to make that choice to leave her parent behind. And the reason I wanted to point that out is because we do talk about how Harry has had to make a very similar choice, how Meghan has had to make the same choice, how many of us have had to make the very difficult decision to grieve the loss of a person in our life who is not dead, which is very, very difficult. And so whenever I think about Angelina Jolie and the amazing career she's had and the amazing work she's done, I always think about, on a personal level, the way that she's had to not only advocate for others, but pull together the strength to advocate for herself in the wake of very, very hard times with her dad. And I always just send her my love for that reason, because people who have healthy, not perfect, there's no perfect human, let alone a perfect parent, but people who have had healthy relationships with their parents truly cannot imagine how difficult it is to love someone unconditionally, but know that it is not it's not healthy to be around them or have them in your life when all you want is for them to just turn around and be healthy, not even perfect, just turn around and want to do better. And we can start there. And there are some of us out here who have parents who don't have the desire to do better. And so Angelina Jolie always has, in the same way that Meghan and Harry, they always have that just special place in my heart for kids of parents who just chose not to get it right. And so on top of everything else, she's had to advocate for the world, but she also has had to advocate for herself. And some might say that that's the hardest thing to do. So kudos to her. I also want to say, of course, this was a great pick. If I were Salma Hayek, I would have been a little bit more mindful about plugging my movie. And she didn't. The actual writer plugged the movie for the upcoming film Without Blood, but I feel like it was implied to even bring it up. I likely would not have brought up the movie. I would have said I've had the chance to direct her and it was life-changing, and leave it at that. And maybe in the Instagram post about this edition, I would have brought up the movie, because the movie isn't the focus. And it likely, it's just a little bit, if I had to have one gripe, it's just not that tactful. I don't think any harm was done, and I don't think any harm was intended. But just for future reference, I would love it if people were a little bit more mindful of when to plug projects and when not to. And I think when honoring people for their humanitarian work, I think the time to plug the project is after you honor them for the humanitarian work, almost like a byline when you do other things. So like on the social media aspect to promote this edition with her in it, then I would have plugged the movie if I did it at all. So just a little something for Salma Hayek. Maybe that's not the best way to go about it. Mitzi Janelle Tan, climate activist, supported by Greta Thunberg. In the 5 years since a then 16-year-old Greta Thunberg was on the cover of British Vogue, she has gone from student striker to world leading authority on the climate crisis. And she is one of the ultimate Trump haters, and I love it. She pulls no punches. You can see it in her face. I have shown clips of how she glares at that man. She is one of the few people who does not back down and play nice with a whole terrorist. So I'm glad that she doesn't. Good for her. She is a brave young person. As her influence has soared, she has lent her support to other young activists as well as grassroots youth organizations and causes, amplifying their work in the process. Take last year when Thunberg was photographed by Neistad, a Sami activist protesting against wind turbines in Norway, or the recent work she has done with Reclaim the Future, a Swedish youth group campaigning against fossil fuels. Then there are individuals such as Filipino climate justice activist Mitzi Janelle Tan, who has long been able to count on Thunberg's support. Quote, "Mitzi, we're gonna fight together for every fraction of a degree," Thunberg told her of their battle to keep the global temperature from rising beyond 1.5 degrees. "And I will be here with you each step of the way." Aurelia Cellier, founder, nominated by Francesca Hayward. As founder and president of the charity The What Dance Can Do project, France-born Zurich-based Aurelia Cellier has, says Francesca Hayward, principal dancer of the Royal Ballet, brought dance to sick, impoverished, and vulnerable children all over the world. Through Aurelia's hard work, explains Hayward, so many children have been introduced to dance and experienced the amazing power, freedom, and joy that dancing and being connected with their body and movement can bring. That is amazing. Wow. Josie Naughton, CEO, nominated by Gemma Chan. In 2015, Josie Naughton co-founded Choose Love, a humanitarian aid organization that has since raised millions of pounds to support refugees across more than 40 countries. Quote, "They support displaced people all over the world by doing whatever it takes to provide them with everything from life-saving search and rescue boats to food and legal advice," says actor Gemma Chan. "They offer dignity, hope, respect, and humanity in the darkest of places. I'm in awe of everything Josie continues to achieve with Choose Love and so proud to call her my friend." Wow. Hey, V. Kativu, education activist, nominated by Yara Shahidi. Y'all remember she actually co-hosted that video with Prince Harry for the Diana Award. I have been following her career ever since that video came out. She has done amazing work as an education activist, and it's great to see her on this list. I didn't know she was on here. Good for you, V. Oh, wow. I'm so glad to see it. Well deserved. Education activist Fabrizio V. Kativu's mission is to make higher education an achievable goal for all. Having overcome much adversity in her own life to study at Oxford and Harvard, Kativu, born in Zimbabwe and now living in the UK, is a tireless advocate for our global community to have access to a quality education with a specific focus in empowering young women to pursue their dreams, says actor Yara Shahidi. Where others may be overwhelmed by the intense schedule of giving UN speeches, building schools, all while pursuing a PhD, V finds joy in her personal pursuit of education and her ability to be of service. Wow. She really is a rock star. She's done so much amazing work. I recommend following her and the things that she does. She absolutely is deserving as a force for change. Joy and Joe Banner, environmental activist, nominated by Jane Fonda. Twin sisters Joy and Joe Banner are the founders of the Descendants Project, an organization dedicated to protecting the health and land of Black descendants of enslaved men and women living in America's Louisiana River parishes, who are at severe risk of illness and death owing to the pollution of the area by petrochemical plants. Wow. I didn't even know about this. The Descendants Project. Okay, I need to look that up when this is over. Actor and activist Jane Fonda explains that the sisters live in what has become known as Cancer Alley along the Mississippi, surrounded by the oil, gas, and plastic industries. People are sick and dying all around them, says Jane Fonda, but they have managed to keep industry out of their parish by turning the plantation houses into historic sites that cannot be disturbed. That's not only genius, but it's also an amazing cause. And I love the way they went about it. But for the larger issue, more needs to be done about this, quote, Cancer Alley. And I'm glad that Jane Fonda and the Banner sisters are bringing awareness to it. Francesca Mills, actor, nominated by Sinead Burke. Actor Francesca Mills, best known for her roles in Harlots and The Witcher Blood Origin, is a rare talent, says writer and educator Sinead Burke. Why did I say writer like that? I said redder. My bad. As a fellow little person, Francesca is all too familiar with being the center of attention, though like me, it is not always with consent. the 28-year-old's performances, says Burke, whether on screen or stage. Mills won raves for her turn this past March at the titular role in The Duchess of Malfi at the Globe, always managed to push the audience's gaze, challenge their ableism while transporting them to other worlds. She has a skill and professionalism that has evolved with time, tenacity, and a deep love for the craft of acting. She had amazing things to say in the Forces for Change video as well. Igbo Boyo, actor, nominated by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Actor, producer, and executive producer Igbo Boyo has been an iconic figure since my teenage years, when she starred in the seminal 1990s Nigerian TV drama Checkmate, says author Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. Her character challenged accepted norms of what women could be. Beyond her work on screen, Boyo is actively involved in charity work focused on women, combating sexual violence against women and girls in Nigeria, highlighting women's education and women's health care, Ngozi Adichie explains. Today, she continues to be a role model for young Nigerian women, with her quiet glamour, her depth, and her dedication to producing quality work. An absolute class act. Amal Clooney, lawyer, nominated by Adut Akech. Now, I am a big fan of Amal Clooney. I was familiar with a lot of her work a really long time ago. I remember she was kind of seen as like a rising star when it came to human rights. And then a couple of years later, she ended up marrying George Clooney. And then she started producing these pre-wedding looks that she became like my fashion staple, like literally. She's one of my top 5 fashion people, as well as everything else. And so I followed her because of that. And then I saw her at Harry and Meghan's royal wedding. I loved her outfit and her hat. And so just every time she is on my screen in any capacity, I'm loving what she's doing. I love Amal Clooney. She does a lot of amazing work. She is far more than just an actor's wife. No shade to George. Well, actually, all shade to George. Y'all know why. I'm not going to get into it here. But no shade to George in this instance. She is so much more than an actor's wife. She has a storied career and she's just getting started. She has so much further to go. And it is such a pleasure to watch all the amazing work that she's done and all the impact that she's made. For South Sudanese model Adut Akech, there was one clear choice for who to nominate as her force for change: human rights lawyer Amal Clooney. Not simply for all the causes she supports, says Akech, but because of her focus on human rights in Sudan. In the past, she has acted as counsel to 126 victims of crimes against humanity in Darfur, and last year made a speech to the General Assembly of the United Nations calling for more attention to be paid to the ongoing and too often ignored war in Sudan. There are survivors around the world who see robust and concerted action on Ukraine, and they are no less deserving elsewhere, Clooney said. See, this is why I love Amal Clooney. She calls it out. She speaks truth to power, and she uses her expertise, her skill, and her influence to make change. Good for her. Alejandra Caraballo, lawyer, nominated by Laverne Cox. As a trans campaigner, teacher at Harvard Law School, and American attorney, Alejandra Caraballo has spent years tracking anti-trans legislation in the U.S. and raising awareness and consciousness about how anti-LGBTQ+ public policy affects the lived experiences of families, says actor Laverne Cox. Though much of Alejandra's work is data-based, Cox continues, she never loses sight of the personal. The rehumanizing of this population, which has so successfully been dehumanized through rhetoric and policy, is an essential part of this moment for LGBTQ+ liberation. She's absolutely right, and I'm so glad to know this person's name. I've never heard of Alejandra Caraballo, but I am about to start following her because anti-trans rhetoric has grown rampant. I'm seeing they had made so much progress. We had made so much progress as a country, and with the introduction of a few interesting, and I'm being polite, but a few political figures and just ill-timed jokes and nefarious people in entertainment, I've seen a lot of the progress made in the last 10 years truly dwindle. We're regressing, and more needs to be done about that. But particularly where policy is concerned, it's very concerning how, like I said, as a Black woman, human rights are on the ballot. It's it's exhausting, it's terrifying, and it's wrong. Just simply put, it's wrong. So I'm going to start following Alejandra Caraballo as well, because I want to see and continue to be familiar with her work and the work that she's doing. Africa Brooke, writer, nominated by Jamila Jamil. Zimbabwe-born, London-based Africa Brooke is a young author who is challenging the way we speak to each other in political and socio-political spaces, says actor and broadcaster Jamila Jamil. Her writing, consultancy, and coaching, Brooke's book, The Third Perspective, Brave Expression in the Age of Intolerance, was born from her viral open letter, Why I'm Leaving the Cult of Wokeness, has seen her become a guiding light on how to navigate a society riven by culture wars. In an attempt to bring people together in a critically divisive time, says Jamil, I find her work to be some of the most important there is. I'm going to read this book because I'm actually curious about what she might mean by that, why I'm leaving the cult of wokeness. One thing I will say about the term woke, it was completely co-opted by right-wing extremists. Woke used to simply mean, and we've heard even Meghan say this, to become aware, to not just believe what you're being shown, but to understand its depth and understand where it's truly coming from, what it truly means, and how it impacts the world. To be woke is to be aware and to be awake, and that is not a problem. So when she says the cult of woke, I'm curious if she is actually using that angle, which makes sense. For her to be on this list, that's what I'm thinking, using that angle of how the term woke was co-opted and used against people simply trying to keep everyone informed. So I'm curious. I'm going to read this book and let y'all know what I think. Alice Hindi, cybersecurity expert, nominated by Archewell Abo. In November of 2020, Alice Hindi lost her 21-year-old brother Josh to suicide. Oh, wow. To help process her grief, she used her skills as a cybersecurity expert to launch Ripple, a digital intervention tool that aims to prevent suicide by intercepting users searching online, as Josh did, for methods to self-harm or end their life. Wow. I wonder if there has been, or if there's possibilities for her and her initiative to possibly collaborate with Archewell Foundation, because that's a big part of their platform. Let's continue. Quote, I've had the great pleasure of not only listening to Alice speak, but to have her on my Girls Talk podcast, where I learned more about the incredible work she has done as a result of her own challenging experience, says model, actor, and mental health advocate Archewell Abo. In the face of adversity, she has remained kind, funny, and steadfast in her mission. Wow, I need to learn more about this. That's so interesting. I'm glad she's using her grief and her challenges for good. Jenny Joseph, midwife, nominated by Christy Turlington Burns. Oh, wow. Described by Time magazine as a role model for midwifery, Jenny Joseph has done more for maternal health in her 5 decades as a midwife in America, which has the worst maternal death rate of any developed country than most. The supermodel founder of Every Mother Counts, Christy Turlington Burns, has known Joseph since I was making my first documentary film, No Woman, No Cry, for which Jenny was a featured provider. In 2020, Joseph became the first Black person to privately own a nationally accredited midwifery school in the U.S. and continues to be, says Turlington Burns, a tireless advocate for women and birthing families. Wow, great work. Hindu Omoru Ibrahim, environmental activist, nominated by Jacinda Ardern. Oh, wow, Jacinda Ardern. Chadian environmental activist Hindu Omoru Ibrahim has long been recognized for her work with Indigenous peoples and how their unparalleled knowledge of the land they are from is integral to fighting and learning how to adapt to the climate crisis. Former New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern met Hindu through Conservation International and the Earthshot Prize. She tells Vogue, it's clear to me that Hindu is a leader in her field. The many accolades she has received speak for themselves, and yet she remains such a humble person, totally focused on working on behalf of her people and the planet. I just wanted to take a super short break to say, if you have not already, please don't forget to go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel, and if you are interested, feel free to participate in the live chat going on now, or feel free to leave a comment if you do not wish to engage in the live chat. Once again, I know I do this all the time. I'm enjoying a channel, I'm enjoying the video, I'm just having a great time, and I completely forget to hit subscribe. So please don't forget to hit subscribe. Don't forget to comment if you wish, and please don't forget to hit that thumbs up button so that the algorithm on YouTube knows that you like my content. Now, let's get back to the show. For the original cover, you had to be chosen as a force for change on this cover. And now, for its anniversary, those people are now nominating those who they feel are a force for change. I am not in that number on one side or the other. However, for my channel, I would like to take the time, since we're on the subject, to nominate who I think should be honored as a force for change. And that's none other than Meghan, Duchess of Sussex. Meghan has done an amazing job of using her platform and the attention that falls on her to raise awareness to extremely important issues facing our society and globally. And one of the things that we could just start with is the forces for change in general, because it's because of her that this is ongoing and continuing to spread. It has a ripple effect. And I find it to be interesting that they decided to redo the nominations for the anniversary, because it's taking a moment and it's putting people in position to recognize others who are making a difference in the world. And it's creating a ripple effect. It's creating an effect of people not only doing the work because they're passionate about it, but acknowledging those who are alongside them doing the work as well. And in this gesture, it creates a community of change makers, not just individual change makers focusing on their own fight, but they have a community, something we see continue to come up about Archewell Foundation. And instead of just highlighting issues, they create communities around them, not just of the people who are at the helm of the issue, but those who are experts on the issue and those who can do something about the issue. They managed to use their platform, and by they, I mean Harry and Meghan. They managed to use their platform to not only create awareness around the issue, to not only have in-depth conversations and insight sessions with the experts that have the power and the knowledge to start chipping away at the issue, but they managed to use their platform and influence to put these people in community together. That is extremely powerful, because now what you have is the person who might be suffering from something like a climate crisis, which is all of us actually, but someone who might be suffering from, let's say, Cancer Alley in Louisiana. And what happens is when they're in community, let's say with a politician or a social worker in that area, or, law enforcement, or those who write policy in that area, or city hall officials, or what have you, or state officials or federal officials, someone in government, someone in politics, someone who can actually start chipping away at the issue by putting them in community. It goes from them simply suffering in their area or keeping things on a micro level, that now you have it on a macro level and they're in community together. There is now this pseudo accountability to one another to inform and to take action. That is so important, and it is not something that we have seen before, especially in this area. And we saw Meghan take this approach with Forces for Change. And we see how 5 years later that is continuing to ripple. And those forces for change are now nominating more forces for change. And now they're in community together. Think of all the opportunities to collaborate. The additional eyes that are on these issues, just by knowing who Meghan is, obviously knowing who Vogue is, by reading or investing time in the Forces for Change. Now we know about Cancer Alley. Now we know more about trans rights. Now we know more about humanitarian efforts at the UN. Now we know more about what's going on in the world, where we previously wouldn't have been as exposed to that, or we would have had to go wading through information or sorting through information to get it. She and her efforts have put that right in our lap. That is why Meghan is the force for change. And I'm so glad that her efforts have continued to ripple in such a positive manner. We also saw her use this amazing approach with her own 40th birthday.
No, here's the idea. Because I'm turning 40, I'm asking 40 friends to donate 40 minutes of their time to help mentor a woman who's mobilizing back into the workforce. And I think if we all do it and all commit 40 minutes to some sort of active service, we can create a ripple effect. You in?
Yes, times 40. 40, 40, 40, and then 40 times I say yes. Is it okay if I still do it in the hat?
I wouldn't expect anything less. Thanks.
So it's important for me to highlight the work that Meghan has done herself, but also the effect that she has had that help other people who are also either doing the work, who are experts in the field and continuing to become informed and spread that information, and those who are at the helm of these issues. By being in community with all of these people in all three different phases of this one social issue, mind you, she has taken this approach with several social issues. What she is doing is creating a table for people to come to begin to sort the issues out, laying the groundwork so that resolutions can actually occur. Not just preaching, not just anger, not just protesting, but actual tangible results. And that starts by putting the right people in communication with the right people. That is something that we're going to see continue to reverberate as she continues her work. And so that she and Harry. So that is why I wanted to take a moment to explain why I feel like Meghan is a force for change and the force for change, because she began not only this initiative, creating communities around these social issues and really helping to not only provide comfort for people who are at the helm of these issues, but start the process to resolving them. What she is doing is true humanitarian work. And I'm so excited to live in a society where Meghan and other people like her can continue to propel forward and make things better for all of us. She's really a true inspiration and continues to inspire me as well as millions of billions of other people to continue to try and make this world the best it can possibly be. We don't have to settle for just good enough. Now, when Mama runs for office, if she ever chooses to do so, she's got my vote. Y'all gonna have to race me to the polls to cast the first vote, because I'm determined. I am determined to cast the first vote whenever that day may come, if it ever does. But that is all I have for you guys today. It's exciting to hear that the Forces for Change edition is already 5 years old. Does that not feel like it was yesterday when little Prince Archie was in the womb working hard, editing? So I always picture him in the womb looking at everything and being like, I have notes. But Meghan is definitely my nomination for Force for Change, but didn't nobody ask me. So y'all let me know, who do you think should also be nominated as a Force for Change in the future? Continue to let me know your thoughts in the comment section. If you haven't already, please don't forget to go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel, and please don't forget to share so that more people can find us. Again, I'm trying to get to 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. It's already August, so the closest we can get to that as possible, the better, but hopefully we can actually hit the target. That would be super, super cool. Don't forget, you guys, my birthday is September 3rd. I will still have a video go up, but it'll be recorded prior to my birthday, as I will be out and about celebrating. But my birthday is September 3rd, and I just want to thank the people who have already sent me happy birthdays and cash apps and acknowledgements. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.
Peaceful under trees me every day.
No? Okay. Are we finally getting matching tattoos? I mean...
Well, I already have something really similar across my back. See, I don't really think that tea with the chickens is what we have in mind.
I've been very taken by the way Meghan Markle has been dressing. The Duchess of Sussex have been dressing throughout her pregnancy. Her heels actually seem to be getting taller every time I look at a picture of her.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the SharionSade podcast.